Skacel, CEO of Skacel Collection Incorporated, and we'd like to welcome you to our challenge number 2 for the Fiber Factor. We are here this morning with a fabulous crew, live from TNNA, or sort of live at least. We're all together this time in an arrangement which looks a little bit like the Last Supper. And with us today, we of course have Cerelia Rose over there. Good morning, Cerelia. How are you? Good.
Hi, I'm Mary Jane Mucklestone. I write books about knitting, stitch patterns, and all kinds of stuff.
I'm Stephen West of West Knits.
Hi, I'm Michelle Hunter, Knit Pearl Hunter.
I'm Carrie Warner, editor of Creative Knitting Magazine.
I'm Penny Sittler, the executive director of the Knitting Guild Association.
Hey, I'm Talitha Kuomi, and this is the Lesnie, which is Polish for dependent. It's my interpretation of addiction and recovery, because I think those depend on what you choose to be dependent on. It's knit from the bottom up because that's where addiction takes you, the bottom, and that's where recovery starts. It's knit side to side in a tarsia across the collar panels, and the bleed is added last with duplicate stitch. Pick the fitted small sleeves because addiction makes your life small. It's the next fix, it's the next hive, it's all you have room for. The center is about recovery for me, about having room to grow and room to breathe. I chose the colors based on the purple poppy flower. It's the black of their cores, 2 of them side by side, and then the dark of the inner petals and the light of the outer petals as they meet together. The fact that it's 2 is important because recovery is partially about healthy relationships that you lean on, where you put your dependence. This is the Lesnie, and I'm Talitha Kuomi.
I think the shape is a true box sweater. The black on the sides, as far as people who are heavier, is genius with the shaping in the middle. It gives you a definitive shape. The colors, I mean, she did the duplicate stitch afterwards to give it the little jagged edges. Cute little sweater, but to me, just a tad bit boring.
She did use her color work to do the shaping for her. I mean, it gives the appearance of shaping without it really being there. And it almost appears from a distance, like here, like puzzle pieces put together.
Yeah.
And I think that's an interesting element,
Yeah.
I think, with where she combined the colors. Oh, I find it somewhat boring as well.
I felt like the colors were a little safe because, you know, you've got the pretty, you know, plum colors, and then the black on the sides really nice, creates that slimming effect, but I felt like I would have liked to see a little bit more. She definitely nailed the box shape, but you know, what else? And I do like the duplicate stitching where she carried the darker color into the lighter color and then on the side into the black. That creates a really interesting contrast.
Yeah, I appreciate the traveling lines and the color blocks and those little hash marks that bleed into the light color. It's always nice to have those little details, like, oh, that little something special, like, oh, you have something to point out and show off to your friend, look what I did. And the black on the outside, yeah, is like non-invasive, so it's all about the detail and the color in the center, and I like that about it.
Yeah, I like how the color travels. I really like how she made them blend, you know, at the edges with the duplicate stitch. I thought it looked really good on her. I think this is a piece that is really, you know, boring on a dress form, and it looks completely different on a moving body. Like everybody said, probably these are bolder color choices, but I loved how the garment did the shaping, and I think she really got the box, the small sleeves. So, you know, sellability high. I really like that.
A lot of stuff. It felt sad to me, the color combination, but that is the inspiration was addiction and recovery, and I felt that from the sweater, which maybe it's not a good thing, but it's a nice homage to that process. And so I don't know, but the proportions were so great. I would like to wear that, but with maybe some different color.
Hi folks, Tracy Percher here, without a model except me. This is it, challenge number 2 sweater, and it is the second rendition. If you saw my progress video, you'll realize that this is not the sweater I began with. I ripped out everything and started over on May 29th at 9:30 p.m. It's been a little tight. I also realized that I have never done intarsia before. What I referred to as intarsia before was actually a little bit of stranded work. So, anyway, here we go. It's made in one piece, even up and over through the collar. Later I slashed the neckline and added it. I did a little bit more detail at the color exchanges. You can see I kind of zigzagged the intersection, and then these rows would be the stranded work. Simple little cuffs, one piece. Hope you like it.
Can I just say, I got such a kick out of her.
Oh, yeah.
Because she didn't even know what intarsia was, or what steeking was, but she does it.
She does it.
I mean, it was
wasn't
just,
afraid to
I
admit it.
know,
I love
exactly,
that.
I love that about
Yes.
her. I mean, and again, this is another sweater that has grown on me tremendously. The more I see it, I think this could be the most sellable of all.
You know, I loved her video because she just threw out her initial idea completely. It was like, and then she just started and went, like literally from the front up, over, back, and down again. And she really nailed the box.
Yeah,
Like
she
that
did.
is the box.
Exactly.
That's
Yeah.
the slouchy box, and the color blocking I really like. She's got really interesting little things she does where the colors join. So there's interesting techniques.
Stranding, so you get a little intarsia and stranding.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Right.
I loved this piece for a couple of reasons. First of all, I think that it was very flattering, and it is, and why I said I need to go before Cerulean, because we sort of have a Mad Men fixation. I'm total Megan Draper.
Yes,
totally. Total. But I like about it that it's modern, but it's classic. And I like to, when I knit, I'm just spending so much time on it, I don't want it to be a one season thing. I can see that being timeless but always fresh.
I was gonna say the same thing about that red. With that standing neckline, I love that neckline. And I love how the red, and then it carries down to the sleeves. That was a great color to choose with the more subdued colors and that gray. It's not really like too dark, it's just right, and that crimson, that red really works. And I would so make this sweater for myself. I love it, and I love the little stitching that she's got there that's looks like pinking shears to me. I love that. It's just like a nice little accent. So she definitely nailed this.
I want to add that there are a lot of reds in the Simply Worsted and Simplicity line, and to choose the right one is really a talent. And we kind of came down on her color choice in the last one pretty hard, and it was very rainbow. And I think this is so interesting. I can't place it. It's a little South West. It's a little mid-century modern. It's like it's totally fresh.
You have to remember she's outstanding.
That's true.
That was good.
I really like the overall effect. It doesn't like slap you in the face and say wow, but like that's not necessary. Not everything has to do that. Sometimes it's hard to rein it in for me. Sometimes. But yeah, I really like, as you look at all the details, it looks like it's just very fun. It looks like, yeah, she changed her mind as she went, and like, I'll have a little different texture for that block of red, and it looks fun to make.
I'm Katie Rempe, and this is my design, Dreamy. It's an oversized boxy sweater that can be worn in multiple ways, including with the buttons in the front, or it can be converted and swapped to look just as cute with the buttons in the back. Why don't you turn around and now show the back? This garment is knit in 3 pieces. There's a right and a left yoke, which are seamed in the front, and then the body is picked up and knit down from there. It has an asymmetrical hemline, the back being longer than the front, and a simple stitch pattern that starts at the yoke and continues down into the colorwork of the body.
Well, I really want to give her kudos for making a reversible piece and also going and making a cardigan. I don't know if she knows, I mean, she works in a yarn store, so she must know that cardigans sell way better than, would you agree with that? Cardigans are always the most knit projects out of any, not pullovers. And so that was a smart move, and I love that it's reversible. The photos of it on her model look wonderful, and she looks really happy and comfortable. But the colors here did not make me happy. Katie is so fun, and we saw her in her last challenge really playing with color and being very, very bold and unique. And here I just felt like these colors did not make me happy.
I love the mix of texture, and I like how that makes for a little bit of color. You know how the bottom with no texture is a slightly different gray than the top with more texture. I liked the color work, just the inventive back where it crisscrosses. I do think, though, it seems a little bit like an afterthought. Like she made this beautiful boxy sweater, and oh my God, I've got to put a little bit of color in here.
It just, first impact overall is just a lot of gray. And it's different when I saw her wearing it, because it's a lot more fitting on her, but hanging on a smaller size and on the mannequin here, just kind of, you know, it's very heavy on the bottom. I do like the proportions of the texture on top, a different texture on bottom, a bit of color, and these thin little trimmings. And yeah, the color was kind of one of the main parts of the challenge, and that's where I think it was the weakest.
This is a sweater that people would walk into a yarn shop and say, I think I could make. You know, that was a definite positive.
And you work at a yarn shop too.
And I'm in yarn shops all
Oh,
over,
well,
so
yeah,
I know
I mean,
what, yes,
you did for a
exactly,
long
just
time.
what the
Yeah.
knitters are happy, you know, they make, and this would be a very yarn shop friendly. A little bit more color maybe, but other, you know, I thought that was, you know, very nice.
Well, I feel like it's very heavy, and I don't know if it's the stockinette at the bottom that makes it drag down. To me, my initial thought was, oh, a maternity top. That's what hit me right away. Most of her interest is in texture at the top, not with color. She kind of did with texture what everybody else was doing with the color.
I like the way that she crisscrossed the stripe. I think that was the strongest part of this piece, but I wish she did more.
Hey everybody, this is John. Challenge 2, color inside the box. Hopefully I was able to use something that I know, which is color, something I think I know, to explain, guide through something I wasn't familiar with at all, which was this boxy drop shoulder form. Jaisalmer, India, in Rajasthan, was my prime inspiration for the piece, particularly in the development of the color palette. They're all sun colors, yellow-based colors. I wanted to play with the idea of instability of color and what happens when we place, for example, this Nile blue against the Sahara sands color. It becomes a very crisp turquoise. Elsewhere it becomes almost a spruce tone. I also wanted to use color to help define shape and form with the use of some repeating patterns, some symmetrical patterns, to give shape to the body underneath. Finally, linen stitch used throughout with some slight variations in linen stitch used for counterpoint. Add a little bit of bling. Add a great big slope. There you got it. I hope you like it.
So,
It has a lot of impact.
It does.
It does.
And I love the colors. I love the way the colors blend. That woven look from the linen stitch is one of my favorite stitch pattern, stitches. And it's very time consuming, so I know it was a tedious project for him to do. And I do agree that the trim is sloppy looking. And the rest of it's, not. That fabric is not, so it doesn't really match.
Yeah, the stitch pattern and the colors are what I love most about this. If anyone loves stripes, I love stripes. So that's like, I love the vertical stripes too. It'd be completely different if it was taken horizontal. But yeah, I know too from designing, I'll start with texture I like and colors and all these details. But when I work it, it's often becomes too much. So I think there's a lot of value in reading what you've done or a swatch and what you're most excited about, and take that one element and just kind of showcase that. So in this case, it's the color work, and it's really hard to get a random effect. It's so easy to work it into something symmetrical or something very even, but I really admire this randomness, and it's really eye-catching. But yeah, I want to focus more on that and not be distracted by the droopy side I think it would work, yeah, just in different proportions, that asymmetrical side. But yeah, then it's the trimming and the beads and the other trimming and the, yeah. So simplifying, I think.
I love the fabric as well. I think this color work is amazing. The neck, the edging, I think I remember from the first challenge that we didn't care for the edging treatment there. And I think that here too, it's a little too heavy and it is just killing it for me and not in a good way.
In this one, like how he uses the same colors, but depending upon what they're next to, the color changes. So it's that kind of art school Joseph Albers story there. But again, the finishing for me it's that trim I couldn't live with. So I think you could simplify it a lot. Like you said, just have it one square piece and let the fabric do everything.
Yeah. I think the fabric is lovely. The woven aspect, I really liked it, but I'm not a fan. I didn't think that it was a sweater. And
Hi, my name is Rachel and this is Hillcrest. My inspiration for this project are the stained glass windows designed by Frank Lloyd Wright. I chose to do the more exaggerated body shape, so a very, very wide body and very, very narrow sleeves. I think it has beautiful drape. The hemline makes a nice curve and it hangs just very nicely on a person. In terms of design, I wanted to place the main stained glass motif right on the center of the sweater. I want that to be the star. I also included an echo of it on the left shoulder, and that continues on down to the back. If you look at the picture, you can see the picture is almost entirely that bright pinky red of the geraniums. And I actually flipped the proportions of the colors for this, so you can see that that bright pink is only used just the tiniest bit. My intarsia petals are pretty intense. I decided to go with garter stitch for those so that the proportions would be exactly square. And I used a slip stitch pattern so that the lines would be even. I didn't want anything that detracted from the look of the stained glass.
First thing I saw when we got this was the front, and I knew exactly what she was inspired by. I mean, you couldn't miss it.
I love this sweater. Yeah, so the shape, it's one of the biggest shapes, I think, but it's the most flattering, I think, because it's so big and because of that tight arm. It just brings it all in. The colors I never would have chosen, and that's what I love most about it, because it works. Like, just the first impact that it has is just like, whoa, what's going on to this sweater? And yeah, it's a lot with the intarsia, like a lot going on, but in terms of like sellability, like, I'm sold.
Well, you know, I think it's a beautiful piece, and I love the silhouette, but the color work, it's very intensive. And so I keep coming from the magazine perspective.
Yeah.
You know, the sellability, sorry. When I saw the video and I saw the loose yarns that would have to be, you know, woven in, I thought, wow, that would be very intimidating.
I'll stick up for Rachel.
I'm an advocate.
Oh, that, yeah, she did say something that really grabbed me in the video, which was that garter stitch is great for hiding ends in intarsia, and that it sucks them right up. And she showed us the backside, and I was like, oh, I'm sold, because the finishing was just thought of from the beginning, which was really great. You do have to think of your finishing at the outset, I think, and she did, so.
And Mary Jane, you said just tie knots? Is that what you would
I've
do?
seen a lot of old shuttling work where they
Yeah.
really just tie knots,
It's-
so
yeah.
it
Yeah.
works.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
fast.
laziness.
And what did you think of her work?
Oh, the color work's completely amazing. It's just, and I loved her inspiration. I actually loved the gray. I think I think black would make it too stained glass, kind of, you know, and date it, kind of. And I think the colors are sophisticated. I just would love that thing. I would love it as like a blanket kind of thing that you could just have all around you the whole time you're at home.
She really nailed it with the
She nailed the shape.
Because it
Yeah.
keeps it really chic, and you got, you know, and it's.
The drape is just perfect, and it has stability in the front, and it doesn't look floppy or anything. And
This is just, she's like right on the mark with the color.
right,
that-
it looks like
it
stained
needs
glass
help
with the
to
light
be
coming through.
promoted. Yeah.
I agree, it is so unique and a piece of art, wearable art. Love what she called her echo of the stained glass on the sleeve on the one side. It is really a stunning piece.
My name is Jody Gordon Lucas, and this is Matryoshka. As a big girl, I tend to avoid designing boxy garments such as this. They're really not flattering for me. So I wanted to take on the additional challenge of creating a garment that would be more attractive on a larger person such as myself. To do this, I have a strong vertical component to counterbalance the horizontal striping created by the Fair Isle. I've got some breaks for the eye, such as these panels on the side, and then again at the neck, which might give the illusion that there's a smaller person inside that boxy garment than there is in actuality. I've got a nice deep neckline, which is flattering for the girls. On the sides, I have these slits, which cause the hem to flare, which gives the impression of some shaping at the waist that really isn't there otherwise. And finally, I use my traditional 3/4 sleeves. I spent a lot of time in a wheelchair, and I just really do not like long sleeves that get tangled in my wheels, so that's a personal preference there. So this is Matryoshka. I really hope you like it.
Yeah, what I particularly liked was her different use of motifs. How around the neckline is a different one than the others, and especially on the side, like she changed it on the side. I thought that was really interesting. But like Cerulea, I think it kind of missed the mark in terms of being a box.
I thought that she really achieved her goal with the plate that she had in her first video, and that she really played that up in her patterning. And I liked the way that she carried the yarns. That was one thing that I really thought, that's really great.
And I struggled with it because at first I thought, wait, this really missed the elements of boxy and loose and so on because it seems so form-fitting and tailored. But then the more I looked at it, I thought, no, it still is really the box. And the tailoring look comes from the color work used and the slits at the side and so forth. So she got tailoring elements in it, and it just was my favorite of all of them.
I liked that it gave a slimming effect. I thought sometimes the boxy can miss that, so I appreciate that she did that. I thought the patterning might scare many knitters, but I think it's beautiful.
It's nice that it does have a so structured look for being a boxy shape. And that has to do with all the hems, and I love the mitered corners. I love that detail on the inside. There's stripes on the hem and these brilliant, perfect mitered corners.
On the cuff?
Oh, yes.
With the buttons, the two buttons, and so that was a nice added.
I just wonder why it was on the inside. I would have liked that on the outside. Just like the sweater that won the last challenge. It had a really cool detail on the very outside, and I just wondered why that was so hidden underneath. Because I that was my favorite element too.
She did work in a little Fiber Factor and the 2013
Oh, right.
side too.
The code, secret
which
code.
is, yeah, which is the secret code, which is pretty
very
amazing.
traditional,
Yeah.
especially like for Scandinavian.
And it does look really great on. It's not exactly boxy, I don't think, but it does look very nice on too, and it's impeccable workmanship. I was just really amazed on that. So.
Hi, my name is Lauren Riker, and this is All You Knit Is Love. My color inspiration for this challenge was rainbow pastels, and my goal was to show how beautifully they all flow together into this rainbow of color, and I wanted to show it all across the back of my sweater, so I created these big block letters that say All You Knit Is Love. Right down here is a little heart motif with crisscrossed cables running through it, and those are meant to represent 2 needles and a yarn ball. I also did the same motif on the sleeve with this little fun elbow cap. For the front of my sweater, I decided to do a heart argyle pattern to tie into the back and also to represent knitting love into your garment. I used a combination of color work and cables to create this fun pattern using my 2 favorite colors, purple and gray. I also did these lace sleeve caps here for a little added flirtatiousness and because they're really cool. Overall, I think this design is super cute, fashion forward, and would accommodate many body types. There's lots that you could do to personalize this design, so I definitely think girls will want to knit it. Thanks for watching, bye!
When this one came in, I was like, okay, this is what color work is about. I mean, she has intarsia, she has duplicate stitch, she has different colors. She actually spliced the yarns to get the gradient color in there. And I mean, all you knit is love. A little on the cutesy side, but so is Lauren.
I felt like it was two sweaters in one. I love the back. I love the writing. I love the gradation. I just think it's beautiful with the pastels that she used, and against the gray, the letters don't jump out too much, just enough. And I kind of wish it was that sweater. And then we got this front part, which is sweet, and it's very Lauren, and like kind of stealth hearts. They're not too heart-shaped, but I just wish it was its own sweater too.
The back technique was really cool. I really wanted someone to either dye a sweater or play with paint or do something that wasn't, and this was the one thing that I thought that was cool. She really did something that isn't a typical color work technique, but it was very effective. I love the argyle, I love the elbow patch. I think everything together, especially the saddle in the different color and the lace, it's just too much. And she could have just picked one and had a whole sweater, I think. But I also think it's very cute, very fresh, and I love the slogan on the back. It's really cool.
Yeah, I really love that she put herself in it.
Yeah.
And you know,
It's definitely hers.
watching the videos and seeing, you knew that that was her piece, and I love that somebody, is doing that.
Yeah, this is so sweet and just want to eat it. It's so tasty, like something you found in a candy shop. My favorite part is the shoulder, the pink. I'm a big fan of when you use a different color, what happens when you add a texture to the different color. So that open lace is different from any other texture, and it's a pop of color, so that really stands out.
So I would have probably chosen the back as the focus. It's hard to focus on this sweater because there's so much happening. But she's very talented, clearly. I mean, really creative, and
She looked adorable.
oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Hi, I'm Terry Rosenthal of the Fiber Factor, and this is my Challenge 2 garment. It's called the South Slope Sloucher because it's a loose, slouchy sweater, and it has an undersweater, which is also a drop shoulder piece. This is the sweater that's the other drop shoulder that goes underneath of the sloucher. This is the other side of the sweater. It's, as you can see, drop shoulder, a modified boat neck. There is a drop stitch at the bottom, stockinette here, ribbing. The top is done in a cut and paste kind of effect that I use to create this urban camouflage look. This is the shoulder piece. I created a detachable trim which attaches on both sides on the buttons to keep the shoulders of a drop shoulder from slippage. This is the front side of this piece. It's detachable. You can reverse this as well, so you have multiple looks. Like I said, it's attached on the sleeves. You can wear it with it.
Stevie,
Oh,
you just
sorry.
had it on.
I guess now I'm a bit biased because
Yes.
I like this one a lot more now, and even from when I scored it, because I felt awesome when I wore it. And I admit the colors, the blue and that grello, like it's a bit garish, but that's also what I love about it. So it's a mixture. I have like a love-hate relationship with this sweater and the sweater underneath. It's a look. But I love the statement that it makes. It has a lot of energy.
And I think it was maybe the colors that were just so kind of jarring, but even they have grown on me. So there are so many details in this thing. We just realized there are thumb holes. Didn't even know that that was there.
And Terry was really daring with this piece. The only thing is the color. That was what struck me immediately, and I thought the colors were a bit garish. I think it fits a small group of knitters that would actually wear colors like that and make this. So that was my concern there. But I really love how she took a lot of risks, and then she she used her, as she called it, cut and paste method for the for the little tying of the yarns, which really works in this case.
I think it's the sweater set to come.
There you
know,
go.
this is perfect for the menopausal woman. You just take off the big thing. You've got the cute little thing underneath. Colors are a little strong for me, but actually they're really strong. It's like everybody else, it sort of grows on you after a while. So it's a little on the big side, I think, for a size 6 too, but a couple of little changes, and I think I would wear it. The top underneath, I love all the work she did around the neck and everything. I think it's really beautiful.
So I really liked, I love the shape, I love how you just put it on and it's a big, statement, I guess, and spirit, like Steven said. I like the knots. It's very in that same vein, zippers and holes and things.
I am in complete awe of Karin that you could get 2 completely unique pieces and all that detail done in that short amount of time. Wow. I love that. I just love the creativity. I think this was, for me, the most creative piece, and I think that's what is great about this competition.
Terry has this attitude of the South Park character, it's like, whatever, I do what I want, and I think that's wonderful. It's like, you should be that way sometimes. And she's designing one-off pieces that are just a different approach, so I kind of love that. But that, I could see people knitting and wearing.
Well,
I'm Jeanette Cross, and this is Lyra's daughter. I wanted a sweater that was kind of casual, but that also had that same kind of vertical energy that the statue I showed in the last video had. So that's why I decided to go with the center panel. Also, I thought that for a sweater that didn't have very much shaping, it would really help to narrow the body and really read as like, this is how wide you are. But then the stripes get smaller and smaller as they go up, and that helps draw your eye up. And then also having the bright color for the cowl neck to bounce light off your face and really make it so that the sweater looks great, but you are the star. This dress form is a size and a half bigger than the sweater is made for, so it should have a little more room when you try it on a real person. The most important thing to me was a proportion of how the stripes are all going to play out so that when you put this together with any colors, it's going to look great. And I really want to see it knit up in a bunch of other colors. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, I admire a lot of things about this sweater. Not the exact choice of colors, but how the colors are used.
Right.
I like that it's a different blue from the mustard neck. I love the different widths of color. Overall, at first glance of the sweater, it was very striking. It's like, wow, what's going on there? But when you look closely at it, the widths of the stripe draw your eye in different places, and it's very slimming at the waist, even though there's those horizontal stripes, but they're offset by the verticals with different widths.
Well, an element I particularly like is how the ribbing, the first stripe in the center panel is the same color as the ribbing, so it breaks all the other stripes. You know, it makes it not just striped. That becomes and I think it's one of those sort of things you don't notice right away, but it's one of the compelling things that make it really interesting. It brings your eye up. I agree with all the different directions, the interesting proportions of the different stripes. I like the colors. I think they're great. I loved her inspiration. I loved how she took it and really went with it. The slouchy neck is really appealing to me too. I like how it kind of goes off to the side.
I really liked this sweater. I adore stripes, and what she did with them, I think there are people who say, well, I can't wear stripes, and I think they could look at this piece and say, I think I could wear that.
And I'm a mustard defender. I'm always begging for this color in yarn lines, and people say, no, no. Anyhow, putting it right by the face, I liked her theory of wanting to bring light and glow to the face, but that color is so hard for most people to wear. There's almost no one who can pull off that color, but it made me dizzy. All the lines going different directions, I felt like television lines when they're going, kind of the station is out, and it's just, that's how I felt looking at it. And
well, I definitely like the colors, and wow. I like mustard. I'm a mustard defender too.
You can wear it.
I do wear it, so that's why I'm thinking, wow, is it hard to wear?
But I love the piece. It's sort of ironic. I love the piece. The things that turned me off were the gold at the neck, and I don't know if anyone else notices it because I kept pulling at it, but it seemed like when she picked up stitches, they were just off by one, and so it slants up this middle section.
This is my top for Challenge 2, Florentina, color inside a box. I was never a kid who colored outside the line. I wanted to be really conscious about making it flattering and giving the illusion of something that's fitted through the linear details of the embroidery, and even to the side detail. I know I said last time I was going to do 3 different types color work. I didn't. I decided that it would be better to make it available to any knitter, duplicate stitch throughout. Part of making this design accessible to a lot of people, making it seamless. It was seamless up to the button band, done in the round. Of course, the split hem detail isn't seamless. Those were joined at the beginning after being worked separately. Florentina means flowering or blooming, and that's really what I perceive this boxy sweater is doing. I'm quite the fan of the back. There's little gathers, the same garter ridge detail. Overall, I'm really happy with my box.
What struck me most about this one at first glance is how fresh it is. That white, you know, that's kind of a great, fresh, bright canvas to work with color from. There's just these little color details in the front and at the top. You know, it's very cute, but you know, doesn't have a huge wow factor to it. The color work starting right where the boobs are, like right there. It's a little odd.
It does hit right on the.
Yeah, I think it'd be nice if it came more from the waist, like further down, and just let the front bust area be all just about the buttons and that cute little line on top, the pearl line. Yeah, it's very light and fresh, and I love the short cropped sleeves. I think that's really adorable.
I love the back. The back to me is just amazing. The way that the motif is arranged and that little. When I saw that, I was like, oh, that's like, to me, this is brilliant in the back. It's just so beautiful and elegant and a surprise when you turn it around. But the front, just like Stephen said, he said, I wish that the two stripes went at least up to the pearl detail. It seemed kind of like unfinished, and also strangely the duplicate stitch around the neck, like perhaps it needed to be a little closer to the border so it fit in there better, like the back does brilliantly. But that partial motif, to me, I didn't even recognize it as a partial motif until I saw the back.
I loved the detail on the side that you see, the little, just tiny up the sides. I think it was very pretty. I too had a problem with the placement of the stripes on the front, but I actually went up to my closet that I have a top embroidered that is similar to that, and they do start there. But for some reason, embroidery is a little softer on it, and it's not as noticeable. So I think she was true to her inspiration, but maybe just in knitting, it didn't quite work out that well.
Well, my first initial thought was it seemed a little too matronly for me. I don't know. And the colors don't really excite me. I feel like it's a little, maybe a little too safe.
I think the proportion of ribbing on the bottom is so spot on, and that's something that like a lot of people don't get right, and that I always respect when people use just the right amount of ribbing. It's just a teeny little trim. That's great. White I never go for designing or knitting because I'm always spilling coffee and like I'm nail polish. I'm too messy to use it, but when I see it, and now I want to make a white sweater like this because it's so fresh and so cute.
Yes. The V-neck is absolutely perfect, Natalie.
Hello, this is my final piece for Challenge 2, Color Inside the Box. I'm calling it the No Scrubs sweater. I'm very influenced in this challenge by the early 90s hip-hop, pop hip-hop, and so like Destiny's Child, TLC, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and then also MIA, who's more contemporary, but I think her color, her sense of color, the way she uses it in her outfits has really inspired me. So these are my color choices. I love these colors in just kind of like by themselves and then next to each other in these big blocks. So I stuck with color blocking, and then I used mesh to sort of play with the color saturation, and then at the seams where they're joined together, there's more rich saturation, so the color shifts are more significant, and I really like the way that turned out. Lots of mesh, playing with saturation, no scrub sweater. Thanks so much for watching.
I can see like some sporty, cool, sassy person wearing it, and I like the overall effect. The aqua, that bright, I think it's such a weird combination that I like it, but it's the sand that's throwing me off the most, that nude kind of color. I really appreciate the shaping that went into each piece to get the overall boxy shape. There's like a lot of work that had to go into that, but the execution of it, like the trimmings are a little puckered and saggy. Yeah, just the proportions are just a bit too sloppy, oversized.
I didn't see the inspiration, which was 90s hip hop, in there, and I grew up around the same time, and I guess I would have liked to see photos or something, but yeah, it seemed like a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with toothpaste.
Oh.
And that was not an appealing combination, but I also can see this looking great in other combinations. I loved his comment about playing with stitch pattern to desaturate the colors, so using lace to open up a darker color. That was really just such a painterly kind of idea and thought, and to see it applied to knitting was really fun.
Well, I like that same aspect. I like the mesh and that the negative space becomes sort of the color work. I think that I love the drape of it too, so I think it's a perfect vehicle for a box like this.
Did anyone look on the inside of the sweater? The workmanship is very nice.
It is
The
excellent.
seams are really,
Excellent.
they're impeccable. I was really amazed. It was, compared to the first piece where we really commented on his workmanship not being there, this is like night and day.
I'm not crazy about how he put it all together. I like his mesh pieces. I like the different angles that he has. I don't care for that striping trim around the bottom. That just doesn't, it just doesn't seem to go with it for some reason.
Well, I was trying to keep the 90s hip-hop vein in my mind the whole time while I was looking at this, and the bottom, I like the back with the drop stitch effect. I think that's just adds a really funky look, and then the open work is really interesting in the sand part, the way it has, kind of goes on this diagonal on the back. I really like that.
And the more I look at it, the more it grows. I mean, the colors I still don't like, but the more I see the shape, the more I get the hip hop from the 90s.
I just feel like,
And I could just, it's just a little slouchy sweater that in different colors, I actually think. Yeah.
The back.
I
best.
do.
I
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
I like the drop
It grows on you.
It does.
somehow.
It does.
Hi, my name is Megan, and my design is called Seashell. I used Skacel Simplicity and stockinette stitch for a lighter weight top, and my colors were inspired by the beach and seashells and sand and things like that. I wanted to add a little pockets on the front for an extra detail and a low back for just some skin. I think it would be great for kind of throwing on at the beach. It's definitely light enough for that, or even just wearing regular with a pair of jeans and flats out on the town. I kind of freeformed it with this one, really just kind of let inspiration take me, and I really liked the way the stripe sequence worked out with that. So yeah, that's my design. I hope that you like it. Thanks.
I love this sweater, and I would wear this sweater. The color combination actually surprised me because I know these yarns very well, but when it came in I said, what yarn is that? And I didn't recognize it as our yarn because she put the colors together in a way that I had never seen anyone else do. So the buff, that color is actually called Karen's birthday suit. It's our skin tone, it's like a peachy
It was
pink.
developed for dolls, that's right.
Well, but here, it's the perfect amount of it to make it just perk up everything else. And her impulse of revealing a little skin in the back, that's something that's missing from knitwear, and I think that's why I was drawn to Megan's work, because she's really young and she's really fresh, and she's in New York, and she has this like a little bit, they're very safe garments, but she also pushes it in terms of like what's appropriate, and I kind of like that. It's just enough.
I liked her use of the stripes. I liked how she had really thick bottom color, and then she had, she just played around with the sizing of the stripes, and her color choice. I think it really feels like a summery, beachy kind of, top.
I didn't think that it was necessarily very creative. I thought it was very safe, but this is what's going to be out. On the other hand, I think if it was hanging in a shop, everybody would think I could do that. I think it would sell very well because it looks very knittable.
I loved this in the video. I love the colors, like a seashell, that's her inspiration for it. It's called that too, right? And that it's so approachable. And I think it is the risk of maybe being boring, but putting the little pockets, and I like that they're wide because they kind of make things fall over to the side, and then the surprise of the lower back. When I saw it in real life, I was like, oh, I don't really like the seams, and there's little ends sticking out. But then when I went to sleep last night, I kept thinking, but actually it was a really good sweater, and it really is approachable. And depending upon how you put it on, you can have it really sassy, or you can have it kind of trim. So, yeah, I like it.
Yeah, my favorite part about this sweater is the color combo. It's unexpected, and I wouldn't think to put them together, but it works as colors together. Overall, I think everything hits in the middle, And for me, it does go to a boring place for me.
It doesn't excite me, but it's cute. I feel like the pockets drag it down a little. It makes it pull on those stripes and make them uneven. But yeah, I mean, it's just a nice sweater. I could see this actually in a store. Not a high-end store, but in a, you know, like a teenage H&M or whatever, those kinds of stores. I could see this being sold.
Yeah.
Even in these exact colors.
Yeah, these were the three that rated the highest, okay? But that, and I think during our discussions, they came out pretty much the highest. We did have quite a bit of interest in this as we were going along too.
That could be a curveball.
So, so what we've got in front of us are three pieces that we need to deliberate about.
I want to fight for this one.
But see,
Yeah.
I would say that's great too. I mean, I don't know, I guess where do we want, is the average knitter gonna make this? I mean, what is the, like, I worry about the saleability. I keep saying sellability, sorry. Because there's a lot of work going on in here, and I wonder how many people really make that. Whereas Tracy's, I feel like it's, you know, it's so approachable. You could, any knitter
I'm
could
sitting here and
really,
I want to put it on.
Yes.
I want to
I'm
try
already
it
choosing
on.
color combinations.
Yeah, I want to try it on.
You know,
I'm so.
I can make that multiple times, I think, that one. You know, that's how inspiring to me anyway.
Well, what the contest is about is finding the next knitwear designer who designs knitwear for knitters. So, so we've got to take into consideration how many people will knit it.
Well, I will say I'm totally voting for the one furthest away from me.
Yeah.
I love this sweater, and I think I'm going to make it. I hope we publish a pattern for it, everything. But I think that this is the best color block sweater I've ever seen, but I have seen similar things. So it's not totally blowing off the doors kind of thing like the one at the end.
So super special.
Yeah,
And it's
it
the
is.
perfect mixture of like wearable art, like great color, the perfect box, look the most flattering with that tight sleeve.
Impeccable knitting, everything.
And
so
really
much
nailed
value.
what you told them to do too.
Yeah.
The box sweater.
Yeah,
That's
and
true.
color. I mean, she hits both.
So like emotionally, this one like draws you in, and like well, even if you don't make it afterwards, it's what I think is most inspiring and most original of everything.
Yeah, and it also, you know, even though it's a lot of work, it is very wearable.
Yeah.
Like it will look so becoming on just about everybody. And also maybe this could be one of those kind of pieces that could be like a learning, you know, how to in yarn shops. Yarn shops could really use this as a, like, because it's so inspiring, but it could be a class on how to do intarsia. So, you know.
But Tracy's down there has the steep.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the technique of just knitting across that just amazes me.
And yarn shops are
Right,
how
that's
much yarn
right.
is
I want to know how to
yarn
do
at
it.
the end.
Well,
I mean, that's in terms of saleability or profitability, that's a lot of yarn you're selling.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a bonus for the customer. But
Right.
Yeah. And I don't, yeah, I mean, I think.
I like thinking about intarsia, like when you first think of it, it's 80s, like 20 bobbins, and it's like overworked and like you're knitting a mural.
Right.
But like this, like
Tense the whole
it's got like,
time.
I do like just basic intarsia, but this is like the new version of that crazy floral sweater from the 80s. Not that I remember. But
floral.
And what you said earlier about using like your sock yarns or your stash yarns, you know, you could totally just lay out the palette on the floor, you know. So I mean, you could just totally, you know, get
But you
creative.
could do
there.
that on Jeanette's too.
That's true.
I mean,
yeah.
on Jeanette's, if you would use different stripes, mix them in there as well, you could have a whole totally different sweater. I mean, it's, I think all three of them are great, and I'm sure we'll produce some patterns for all three of them with quite a few of these here too. I mean, it's just, there's really not anything that is not sellable or that is not, you know, a great pattern or appealing to someone in this group. I mean, it really is a really great batch.
Just to point out again that how impressed that we are that you got this
Yes.
done, and also that that you all have the same assignment.
Mhm.
And all
Look at
so-
the differences.
Yeah,
Right.
it's just again, I'm proud to be a knitter.
Yeah, very,
And
very,
it's all the
very
same
impressed.
yarn
Yeah.
in two different weights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also want to say how hard these designers made this for us.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
It's not
yes.
fun to
Wow.
pick. I mean, it's been fun to do it, but it's not fun to do.
Lots of thinking in the morning, right?
So after much deliberation, we couldn't come to a conclusion. We actually had a tie. So we are going to have two winners this time around. We are going to have Rachel is going to be our simplicity winner. And down here, why don't you hold it up, Mary Jane?
Tracy Purcher.
And we have
Simply
Tracy,
Worsted.
I'm sorry.
Sorry, yeah.
Go ahead.
It's Tracy Purcher's Simply Worsted sweater.
So we have two winners, and one of the winners is going to be paid by Cerelia because she's the one who suggested that we don't break the tie.
You're welcome. I'm paying you in nail polish.
Oh, very good. Oh, anyways, thank you so much, all of you, for actually all of you for spending all your time with us. I know you have to get down on the TNNA floor, so I'm gonna, as soon as we turn this off, just scatter out, grab a little more breakfast if you want to grab it. And thank you so much. And thank you to all the contestants. You really did a fabulous job. You outdid yourselves. I can't wait to see the next challenge. And thank you and congratulations to Rachel and Tracy.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. It was a lot of fun. It really was. And just as a little announcement, we have some really good news, and that was last night, Skacel Collection won the award for the best innovation in the knitting industry of wholesalers for this show, which is pretty exciting.